Heyo everyone, so today I'm starting up a little bit of a video series. It was an idea that kind of came from talking to QuickZR in my Discord community that I am part of for our house. And this idea is I'm going to start from scratch and kind of do a level 0 to 100 series where I'm just going to go with a new character from scratch, and I'm going to show you all the different stuff I'm unlocking, in what order, and how I'm going about getting myself to level 100. So with that, I'm just going to get in and get right into it. And obviously the first thing is to make my character. We're just going to kind of go preset and push through. So I'll see you all on the other side. All right, for a new character, let's see. Oh, we have lots of options. As a new person, you should definitely take time to kind of play around and test all these out and get a feel for them. I definitely obviously recommend potentially going on the easy side to begin with, but I think what we're going to do is actually start with short sword. So we're going to pick this up and test out short sword. Big thing is short sword is super tanky, which is going to help us out early on. So this is where you're going to go ahead and have to start making your choices. And a big thing to start out with is there's a few ways to do your warband. You can pick units that are going to say be the best for you to combat with in matches, or you can try to pick units that potentially help you get to later units quicker. I'm kind of going to go for that route. So right away, I'm going to pick up Domain Spearman, because this is going to allow me to jump to one of my first heroic units fairly cheaply. I'm going to go ahead and pick Iron Cap Arquebusiers, because this is actually going to help me get to a early musket unit very quickly. And I'm going to go with Pike Militia, because they are a really good solid unit to start with. They're good in late game. And on top of that, they're going to rush me getting to my Imperial Pike Guards. Iron Cap Swordsman is a solid choice for just a good unit that is still viable at late game, and it helps teach you about how to interact with sword and shield units, how to charge in and get out, because they are very much not a constant engager. So I do highly recommend that as well. You could potentially swap out from doing the Arquebusiers if you're not as interested in getting a musket unit, or if you wanted to say go with like something like the Domain Archers, you can. This could rush you getting to like Incendiary Archers, but they're not good late game. And the Longbowmen that are also after them, though are a decent unit late game, are not as prevalently used as something like Imperial Archers. So I'm going with this loadout, and this is purely to rush me to heroic era units. As for my tier 3 option, there are a couple valid choices. Halberdiers aren't too bad as far as a starting unit. They charge. You can somewhat use them later game. You're mainly going to turn them into Landsknechts through promotion of seasonal units. Squires are all right, but they don't hold up late game as well. There's just better options for the cost. And Iron Cap Spearmen are also a fairly decent option. For Iron Cap Spearmen, you can upgrade them to Imperial Spear Guards, which are still a solid unit later on, just not as prevalent as other ones because they're not as aggressive. They're primarily defensive. But I'm going to go with them because I'm not as worried about taking damagers with the Halberdiers. And Squires, I'd rather just pick them up. I want the quick rush to heroic era. All right, and here we are in the game. So one of the first things it's going to do is actually tell us to go talk to Captain Theo. Just get us through our training matches. So he's going to give us our story to go with, and now it's going to tell us to talk to the guardsman, so we'll click on that too. So it's going to have us talk to him. We are now level 2, and then it's going to have us talk to Lieutenant Belt. All right, Lieutenant Belt, what are you going to have me do? Establish your reputation. So I must complete battle. So what we're going to do real quick, though, is we're going to jump and do our warband build, and in essence, we're just going to drop our units in here. So we can't get unitry yet until we get to level 10. But that's going to be the big part where we start deciding what we're going to do for units. So we got our warband built, and we're getting into our first siege battle. So we are on attack. We have a few options to go with. Starting with a ranged unit is not going to be a very good idea with this loadout. We want to be kind of on the aggressive side. So what I'm actually going to do is let's start with our pikes. We're going to go aggressive on A. All right. So normally I would try to be in some sort of formation. But it's a little tricky because I don't actually have the column formation for these guys, which is definitely their best formation. So we're going to kind of have to go with line. And you can already tell that for some reason they're breaking it, which they should not be. I did not tell them to. But one of the nice things with pikes, and one of the reasons these guys are so valid later on, is that they attack at a really far distance. So unless they're up against another like pike unit, then they can usually just hold them when they're in free attack at a distance, and the opponent can't actually get a hit on them. So one of the other things though you have to keep in mind is pikes can only attack if they're within the like metal piece at the end of their pike. So if a unit gets too close to them, they can't hit them. So as you're marching your units forward, you do want to keep that in mind. Now let's swap out. And I think this time, let's go... we want a little bit of an aggression. Let's go spearmen. Our iron caps would be a good option too, but I'm trying to be a little bit more on the aggressive side. So we're going to do the same thing we did last time almost, except this time we are trying to defend and not attack. So we want to get up in here and block that damage. Alright, let's get up here quick. I'm going to get up here, get positioned. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to immediately come in and turn them onto points. So that way, if the enemies come from where they came last time, they should block them. Might just be said. Alright, that's it. Simple enough. Alright, so we got our first match out of the way. So let's go ahead and get this quest turned in. Now we're level 5. Sweet, we now have attribute points, and we get at our Ever Onwards quest. But let's check out attribute points. So attribute points, this is going to vary greatly by your weapon. I do have a playlist that has a bunch of guides that I do need to update that playlist a little bit. But I know for the sword, we're going to go pretty much just straight up armor for short sword. We're going to go tanky. Got level 6. All right, so here we are into the actual meat of things. So until we hit level 10, we cannot worry about like characters to get or anything like that, or a unit to unlock in the tree. So we need to get to level 10. It's kind of boring, but the fastest way to do that is training AIs. So I have a video that I will link down below. I have one that talks about like the best matches to do to get like various experience, whether that's your weapon experience, whether that's your unit experience, etc. And I checked how they compare to times. Some things have changed since that. For one, with this new season, there's no longer the 2 different types of skill points. There's just your general skill points now for weapons. And on top of that, there is, those are just general matched battles. There are special stuff like for unit XP, one of the best is actually going to be like the raids and stuff. But you can only do so many of those a week. So you want to do those, dump all your experience buffs into those while you're doing them. And then otherwise, training AI is going to be one of the best things up until you get to level 60, 70. It's not always fun, so definitely intermingle it with Siege so that you can learn how Siege interactions work, how combat works. But if you're purely just wanting to kind of push getting levels and leveling up your weapons, training AI is kind of the best way to do it. So one of the big things with training AIs is that you're just going to try to push to the final base. That means you need stuff that is kind of tankier. If you have a buddy that's playing with you that you're leveling with, doing a combination is great. Like this looks like an actual guy. Actually, these might all be actual players. Ooh, Moomin Rider. Excellent. One Punch Man's really good. Though the newest season's animation doesn't look nearly as good as the old seasons. So we're going to hold back a bit, let our units get caught up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to slowly march them in, little by little. The idea is that we can keep our defenses up and spend as little time with their defenses down. Now our allies can use them as a defense. Now don't do that with your cab what that guy did. Charging them in and dead-ending them right on top of a bunch of opponents is exactly how to get them killed. Alright, this guy's easy meat. Let's take care of him. Alright, pole axes are not good for formations, so we want to keep him locked down and not let him disturb our units. Our guys are weak to the back, so we have to ensure that we can keep turning them and try to keep their front or sides facing all the enemies. So at this point, we're for the most part just holding down B. It'd be really good if we could tag it, but as you look up top, we are winning. So, hey, I'll take it. All right, first training AI done. I took MVP, 915. All right, we got another attribute point. We're level 7 now, and we need to get to 10 so we can so that we can get our unit tree. So let's go ahead and queue another training AI. Looks like 2 are ahead in B, so we'll join them. We'll have a front on B, and we'll hope that the other 2 can get the flag points. Perfect, perfect choice. Put them there, turn them on him, and just, they're gonna melt him. March him forward. So we just want to keep pushing. The idea is we have to keep them off the point. But I'm staying on the point because I'm trying to actually capture it since they're not on it. Alright, so it looks like we have A pretty flawlessly. He's found resistance at C. Alright, we'll just hold him off. So we're just going to act as a distraction in essence. So they keep heading to C, which is fine by me. If our allies can just keep distracting them, we'll just sit here and cut off the supply point and distracting them. The alternative is I could put them in this formation. Children. That would work just as well. And we got it. Nice. So we hit level 8. So we only need 2 more levels and we can start worrying about unit unlocks. We want to salvage all this stuff. So it does cost bronze, but we will be able to utilize this stuff later to craft some gear. Yes, Hero's Journey. So right away we can start unlocking some of this. So let's go ahead, pop these. So we've got our first 2 done. So we need to win matches. We need to unlock some skills. I need to add a friend. Oh, I got to get a friend. All right, talk with him after any of my units have reached level 2. Now, the thing is, I'm going to fairly quickly try to get a heroic era unit, and I would rather push my leveling up on that unit faster and sooner. So despite something like Pike Militia being an excellent unit that you will use late game, and getting them up to the stun veterancy is very, very good. So getting your, where's that? That's the double strike. Yeah, bracing stun. That is very beneficial. I'd rather utilize my unit medals towards a other unit. So we're going to hold off on that. So it wants us to level a unit up. We'll do another training AI. And hopefully what we'll do is we'll take our Pike Militia right away so we can focus them getting most of the experience. So the units that you actually take into battle, physically take into battle, get a lion's share of the experience that's generated from that battle. So if you don't take a unit into battle, it actually doesn't get any of the lion's share of experience that was generated. It gets kind of the just generic little starting experience. So you actually have to consider that when you're trying to push leveling a unit, is every time you take a unit into battle, you're splitting that lion's share experience by another share. So one of the things you have to make sure is don't ditch your units. It's easy sometimes to get like overzealous and like start attacking warlords and leave your units where they're at. But a lot of the times it's going to be smarter to continue to micromanage and utilize your units as much as possible. All right, looks like our allies need help. We're going to actually send our units ahead and mount up. I want to get that mounted strike off. All right, march them forward. All right, this guy's actually to our flank, so we want to actually let our guys focus forward and clear him from the flank. Tell him to attack at will. Ooh, the hope was that they would go for the warlord. They kind of turned and went for that guy. All right, pull him back. We're actually going to send him to heal, and this is going to take away the last few ticks, and we win. All we had to use was our Pike Militia, which meant that they were going to get the full brunt of whatever unit experience. We have that lion's share, which is what we would like. Okay, we hit 9. And they got a nice chunk of experience. You see these guys, since I didn't use them, only got the base 315. These guys got the lion's share, so they got 2836. So we did end up MVPing at 1305. But that's the big thing, is that we got 202. So troops killed and like the troop kill score, this stuff's going to impact your unit experience. And then like your kills, assists, and all that will impact your weapon experience. It's like your actual weapon skill points and all that. All right, so one more, and I think we will hit. Actually, you know what? You know what? Screw it. We're gonna do it. We probably shouldn't, but we're gonna go in and do a siege. We have to get 60 enemies defeated. Then after that, 3 heroes, and then 3 artillery. All right. Look at all those AI. All right, let's harass these warlords. We're just trying to kick them around. If we get kills, cool, but our primary purpose is actually to just disrupt them. All right, so we're going to kind of use our pikes to just make sure that no one can actually rush through and get on the circle so that we can get it capping. All right, so there is someone who's potentially going to try to come up there and flank, but we got the points. I mean, we distracted a bunch of enemy warlords and cleared them out. We've gotten 12 kills already, so we kind of helped our allies get a good push. And that's sometimes a big thing in a match that you have to do is, I could have died in that process, but if I hold off 4 warlords, 5 warlords, that means our enemy front has 4 or 5 less warlords to deal with, and they're only short 1 person. All right, just keep turning our guys. Just keep turning them, helping out as much as possible. Try to distract warlords from being able to punch into our line. And if we delay them within reach of our pikes will just belt them. So hopefully our pikes help hold back that wall long enough to get the cap. Doesn't look like it though. They're pushing in almost too hard. But as long as they don't step on here, we're good. Don't step on, don't step on, don't step on, don't step on, don't step on. Yes, we got it. And we did get level 10. So we got pretty decent experience, 7,900 for our pike militia. They did hit 2. So we got that. Yeah, we needed 60 kills. We got 315. I think we completed it. Now we have the unit tree. So once the unit tree is unlocked, there are plenty of unit options to go with. First off, in your F4 menu, it wants you to get serfs. So you have to unlock and recruit serfs. So serfs,
Ready to serve.
you can easily just unlock them. Now we need to unlock or create spear militia or domain pikemen. Sadly, we already have spear militia. So that does mean we're going to have to go domain pikemen. So we'll go ahead and do the domain pikemen. So the big thing is serfs are going to be used a lot later for harvesting resources out in the main world. On top of that, they're one of the better starting units for pushing siege equipment. Yeah, they're also cheap at only 40 leadership. That means you can fit them into a bunch of warband builds and utilize them for pushing equipment. They can also do a fairly decent amount of damage once leveled up. Though woodcutters are a little bit better for that standpoint because you get a really nice charge with woodcutters. Or obviously for just siege pushing, Martelatoria is one of the best because they also buff the siege equipment, but that requires real world money. Now we managed to get those recruited. That means we got our F4 menu again. Now they want us to unlock any cavalry unit. So village watchmen are also another great unit. They're cheap and very effective for their cost, and they also going to be used for pushing siege equipment. So I definitely usually do like picking up watchmen. Now with that being said, our honor is a little tight at the moment, so I'm actually going to look at what my next step is. One of the ones is I have domain pikemen. Spear sergeants are only 7,500 honor, so they're actually one of the first units I go for because you can get them very quickly. A few more matches, I'd have enough honor to grab them, and that means immediately I have a solid heroic era unit. It is a great defensive unit, a great attack unit. They have good attack. They also get brace stun, which is really excellent. They have cover commander, which is really good early on. You're still kind of weak. You don't have really good equipment. You're not a very high level warlord. So having a unit like spear sergeants that you can have following you and help you push and help as a defensive unit for you is very beneficial early on. Once you get to very late game, they do become a little less effective. People tend to prefer, if they want a solid defensive unit, something like Imp Spear Guards, or Gray Hair is really popular at the moment as well with how solid they are. But it's going to take you a while to get gray hair, and spear sergeants still can be somewhat valid. And also, if you go to unlock stalwarts later on down the road, spear sergeants can be converted over, which means you get to keep those levels and put them into your stalwart unit that you create. And on top of that, if you already have them unlocked, when you unlock that stage 1, you get 50 unit medals. So that means that though you expended the honor here, you're trading that off later for straight experience with 50 unit medals from unlocking stage 1 for the stalwarts. So I think it's a well worthwhile trade. So that's going to be one of my first focuses to go with. One of my second focuses to go with is most likely going to be the Palace Guards. They're just a solid shield and all-arounder unit. We'll see when this video comes out. The new rework is going to already be created. They're doing a bunch of reworks, and they're going to affect shield units a lot with that rework. We'll see if they're still as solid as when I'm recording this. But Still, it's a good unit, and it's a straight shot to get to them, and they lead towards Iron Reapers. So even if these don't have as much capability, it'll give you practice with dealing with shield and shock troops, and then you can unlock your Iron Reapers later. So that's kind of the focus we're going to go towards. But what we are going to do is to work on our F4 menu. We are going to actually push Couturiers. I do prefer Iron Scout Cavalry, but they don't get a charge till level 7. And you have to have a max level to be a lot stronger or more valid than Couturiers. Couturiers also lead to Yeomen and Armigers. You can upgrade from your Yeomen later, and Winged Hussars. So as our starting cav, we are going to actually push quickly into Couturiers. So I think we just unlocked pretty much all the other stuff that there is to do and unlocked most of the features. So now it can talk to the Billeting Officer, Warden, Dunlevy, etc. But with that, we are going to leave it at that today. So for this first episode into this 0 to 100, we ended at level 11. I was primarily aiming for level 10. With that, we also managed to load up on a few units, got our unit tree unlocked, and got our starting plan. So the first thing we did was immediately unlock stuff to progress our F4, our Path of Valor. And then from there, I'm going to focus my efforts actually on my first unit being Spear Sergeant, since it's cheap and quick for me to get to. That'll give me a solid Heroic Era unit to start with. So that's what we're probably going to be looking at doing next time while we continue to work on our paths. Our paths are going to be the biggest way for us to get nice gear, for us to unlock new units, and just do everything we can to push forward. So I hope you all enjoyed this, and if you like this idea that we have going on about this 0 to 100, let me know, comment down below. With that, until next time, I'll see you all on the battlefield.